Hello everyone, this is registered dietitian Jason Hunter, and today in this video we're going to talk about a hormone called glucagon. So we're still talking about different hormones that affect our body weight, right, or our appetite, things like that. And a lot of people believe, hey, weight loss is just calories burned, right? Calories in versus calories out. If I burn more than I eat, I'm going to lose weight. It's not always the case though, because we have these things called hormones. Hormones can be a big pain in the butt, to be frank about it. So, the more information you have in regards to helping optimize your hormones, the more likely you're going to have with success when it comes to weight loss and reaching that ideal body weight. So today is going to be about glucagon. And glucagon is a digestive hormone. It's involved in actually helping control our blood sugars, and its role is to prevent blood sugar levels from getting too low. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? It slows the exit of food from our stomach so that we can feel fuller for a longer period of time, and we don't get these highs and lows with blood sugars. But again, that's not always the case because a lot of these hormones work together, right? So glucagon actually works with your liver to raise those blood sugars and release glucose, or what we call sugar, by activating what we have as stored glycogen or stored sugar in our body, right? We keep a lot of it in our liver, some of it is in our muscles, and we use it in those times of need when we haven't eaten, or we have to suddenly have like an adrenaline rush, like a fight or flight type response, right? It's going to pull from there and try to use up that glucose quickly so that we have that energy to do whatever we need to do in that given time. So that that's a big part of what glucagon does, is it helps release blood sugars or glucose into the bloodstream so we can use it for energy. It can also create this glucose from amino acids, so it doesn't have to always come from carbs and sugars. It can come from the protein we eat, and the amino acids can be converted into glucose as well. So that's just one part of what glucagon does, right? It also plays a role with our fat stores. Glucagon can actually stimulate the breakdown of that stored fat in our body so that we use it for energy, which is a good thing because, that means we're actually using up some of that stored fat that we're carrying around. The more we can utilize those fat stores for energy, the healthier we're going to be, and you're more likely to reach that ideal body weight and be able to maintain it, right, without this unsightly fat or unwanted fat that you have hanging around your waist or belly or so forth, right? So as you can see, this is a pretty important hormone. You wouldn't think that when it comes to reaching that ideal body weight and that weight loss and whatnot, like we talked about, a lot of people believe it's just calories in versus calories out. But when you have a hormone like this that can be influenced or influence so many aspects of your healthy lifestyle, you can see why now sometimes it's difficult to lose weight, right, if things are out of whack. So, this one directly targets our appetite and our body weight. So, one, I mentioned earlier about how it takes other hormones, right? It's not always just one hormone, but it takes an interaction of hormones that work together, right? So, glucagon is what we would consider the opposite of insulin. So, when blood sugar levels are high, that means our insulin levels are high because the insulin is trying to take that blood sugar and store that sugar, right? Store that glucose to be used at a later time, whether it's stored as fat or whether it's stored as glycogen. The insulin's trying to get it out of the bloodstream. Well, glucagon levels are going to be low during that time. When blood glucose gets low, glucagon becomes high because it's now trying to release that glucose back into the bloodstream. Insulin's now low, so they kind of counteract each other, but they also work together at the same time. So, everything kind of doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but we need to try to optimize the whole range of hormones the best we can so that they can all work in conjunction with each other. And we're going to throw another wrench into glucagon and what it can do, right? So there's a macronutrient that can actually affect glucagon, and it's protein. So you have a lot of people that do very high protein diets, very low carb, right? Well, this can still stimulate glucagon because of the fact that you may need glucose in your bloodstream, right? So it's going to take those amino acids from the protein-rich meal and convert them to glucose. So just because you don't, eat a high carb diet or try to almost say go keto at times, right? Or not really keto, but getting down very low, you're still stimulating this glucagon hormone if you're eating a lot of protein, because part of it's out of necessity. You have to be able to create blood sugar so that your body can function properly and do what it needs to do with those energy levels. So, this obviously affects our appetite in a big way. When you have those low blood sugars, your glucagon kicks in, tells your body to release glucose. This also triggers those other hormones I was talking about, those other mechanisms, especially in the brain, because now the brain thinks we're starving, right? It thinks we need those calories, so it's going to trigger other hormones that we need to eat, right? Like ghrelin, right? That hunger hormone. It's going to trigger that, hey, we need to eat more food because our blood sugars are too low. So we want to, again, focus on a whole encompassing approach to hormone control so that they can all work in conjunction, do what they need to do, and our body doesn't freak out thinking we're starving itself or we're feeding it too many calories or whatnot, and we're all out of whack at that point. So those are things to kind of take note of, right? In regards to how do you best manage glucagon? Well, if you're prone to like low blood sugars, you do have to be careful with what you eat, because it's going to cause you to have multiple low blood sugar, episodes, right? And this can then cause you to eat too much. So too many calories, which then leads to fat gain, because again, we eat those calories. Now insulin kicks in and says, hey, we have all this blood sugar, we got to do something with it. Let's store it as fat. So the best way to do that is, or controlling not only glucagon but these other hormones, is eat foods that are full of fiber, moderate protein, and healthy fats. So, the full of fiber foods are going to obviously have carbohydrates in them. So again, when you're using whole complex carbs or things that are high fiber, you're going to slow that release of glucose into the bloodstream, especially when combined with lean proteins and healthy fats. Again, we're balancing out those hormones. We're not getting one too high, we're not getting one too low. So again, that they can work in conjunction and utilize those calories that you just ate. Because again, it slows down the digestion process. It helps prevent those highs and lows where we're storing fat or we're not storing fat and sugar and so forth. So don't focus just on eliminating or in eating only one food group, right? So don't think I'm just going to eliminate carbs and this controls that glucagon, because it doesn't. Or I'm just going to eat high protein and that's going to help. It may help in some other areas at times, but again, as a whole, it's probably not going to help long term. So, keep that balance, eat a balanced meal. Always try to include some type of lean protein at every meal, as well as some type of fiber, right? So whether that's from a vegetable or a complex carb or whatever, as well as a healthy fat. When you try to work your meals around that, you'll find that you probably don't eat as many calories because you're fuller for a longer period of time, and that's because you don't have these highs and lows with your different hormones. So with other videos I've talked about in regards to hormones like Ghrelin and Leptin and so forth, the end game is about the same, right? We eat balanced meals, we eat in moderation, and we don't have to follow any of these severely restricted or crazy types of programs, but we follow programs that help our body function at its best, and that's what it's all about. So take that approach and you'll find that you should be able to manage your hormones a lot better. When you combine your exercise and bump up the calories burned, then you'll see that there can be some consistent weight loss, because your body's not panicking thinking we're starving ourselves or we're losing all this fat, we need to eat more calories, things like that. So, leptin stays normal, ghrelin stays normal, glucagon, insulin, everything's normal. And we're allowed to lose that fat safely without our body overreacting. So hope this video helps, and I'll continue with some more videos that help you lead to that healthier lifestyle so that you can reach your ideal body.